And now, NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen with your host, Susie Ross.
Hello, and thanks for joining us for this special edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. This week, we're taking a look at some of the educational stories brought to us by Pfizer Animal Health. Let's take a look. Welcome back to Cattlemen to Cattlemen. In this week's Cattle Learning Center segment, we're taking a look at why a good preconditioning program is a necessary component on your operation. We caught up with Dr. Jerry Stucca in North Dakota to explain why it's so important.
We're here in North Dakota. This is the time of the year when our cattlemen need to start thinking about weaning or perhaps preconditioning their calves. The question might be, what's preconditioning? Preconditioning is simply preparing those calves for the next phase. It might simply mean immunization of calves, or it might mean immunization along with weaning. But in addition to that, it's important for our cattlemen to understand that there are some basics associated with pre-weaning or preconditioning, preparing our calves. And that's things like castrating and dehorning, and yes, providing immunizations to those calves. One of the most important persons that you can use in your beef cattle operation is your local veterinarian. Your veterinarian should be a source of animal health information, should be a source of production information. He can help you decide what products to use, whether it be in your cows or calves. Not only what products to use, but when to use them. Today we have with us Dr. Vernon Knutson, local veterinarian. Dr. Knutson, what have you seen in terms of preconditioning over the years?
Well, we've promoted preconditioning rather extensively, and it's probably the last 15 years we've seen where the producer has been paid for it, both by better efficiency of his cattle and a better price at the market.
Very good. Dan is one of the cow-calf producers who utilizes Dr. Knutson. What have you seen in your own herd?
Well, there's just a certain comfort level with having a complete health program. We've seen it in our calves that are in backgrounding lots. We've seen an improved herd health, overall health there. Hopefully it follows all the way through as the heifers are turned into the cow herd and turned into productive cows.
Murray, you've seen perhaps the same thing on your operation?
Well, I agree with Dan, and hopefully there will be greater returns in the end.
Very good. Thank you, gentlemen, for your input.
You're welcome.
And now we're going to look at other phases of production. We're going to get others that are involved in the marketing system and in the production system and get their take on the value of preconditioning.
Most of our clients do several things to get their calves ready for sale. We have a really good nutrition program, and they're also involved in preconditioning those calves prior to sale, either giving shots pre-weaning or at weaning and boosting those shots before they background them or are taken to the sale. In our preconditioning programs, we're working to prevent diseases like BVD, IBR, Pasteurella. The benefits that producers see from preconditioning are numerous. One, the calves are hopefully disease-free, less chance to get disease, less stressed when they are weaned and put on the backgrounding ration or in the feedlot. And so those cattle gain better for the producers, and ultimately that's what they sell as weight. When they get those cattle to the marketplace, they usually have the reputation of those calves being preconditioned, so there's a buyer demand for them. Because those calves are stress-free stuff, they're gaining better, they're healthier, and they get repeat customers buying those calves. It's important for producers to have that good reputation for quality cattle and genetics. They're getting repeat buyers every year, repeat customers buying their cattle, and also it helps them to market their cattle for pounds, and that's what they're selling ultimately.
When we return, Dr. Stucca continues to look at the value of a preconditioning program and explains how it affects each part of the cattle production chain.
More time on the job means more work gets done. And when the job's all about keeping your herd healthy and productive, remember, only BovaShield Gold FP helps provide a full year's fetal protection against BVD persistent infections and IBR abortions. Why risk using anything less? Ask your veterinarian or animal health supplier about BovaShield Gold.
to reap. The 2008 Cattle Industry Annual Convention and Trade Show. For fun, for education, for new ideas. For more information, visit beefusa.org.
Welcome back. Cattle producers understand that their actions affect the next step in the production chain and the ultimate quality of the final beef product. Let's head back out to Dr. Stucca in North Dakota for more on the importance of preconditioning.
Perhaps in its simplest terms, it means to accustom or train calves, train animals, for the next phase. And by that, what we're talking about is an animal that, at the very minimum, has been dehorned, it's been castrated, it's received some immunizations that protect it against certain diseases prior to when it enters the next phase, prior to or just after it leaves the safety and the comfort of being with its mother during the summer months or during the suckling phase.
As an order buyer, we like to buy as many preconditioned calves and yearlings as we can find. Our customers prefer them over other cattle. Preconditioned cattle just stay alive. I mean, we can take those cattle and take them into a feed yard. They'll gain, they'll convert, and they'll stay healthy. And that's the bottom line. You have to keep these things alive. It's too much money lost with all the medicine and death loss. We just can't afford it any longer. Most of our customers in Iowa won't even accept a calf if it isn't on a program. The documentation that goes along with that, knowing where they came from, who had them, the veterinarian that was involved if there was one, or the vet clinic that sold the products, gives these farmers reassurance that this was done and it was done correctly. Those guys want to know that when they get a set of calves in that come 600, 700 miles, that they're going to stay healthy and that they don't have a lot of death loss and that they won't have a lot of labor involved in taking care of these things. Just like every other feeder in the country, when you can bring a set of preconditioned calves into your yard and they'll stay alive and stay healthy, you know that those cattle are going to convert. And conversion and gains on these cattle, that's the only way we have of cheapening these cattle up until they sell fat. That's our last hope of doing it right. And if they don't stay healthy, we just don't have a chance at all.
The numbers associated with the cost of a sick calf have changed over the years. We used to categorize a sick calf, the cost for a treatment of a sick calf is the cost of a sick calf. We now know that it's no longer true. We have a couple of data sets that finally quantifies those numbers. Texas Ranch to Rail data was some of the first numbers that we were able to apply to the cost of illness. Those numbers kind of tell us that in their data set, over an 8 to 10 year period, it costs about $90 per sick calf. More recently, there's been some data out of New Mexico that tells us that cost of treating one time is on the order of $75 for cost of treating one sick calf. When you go beyond treating just one time and get to animals that need a second and a third treatment, that cost more than doubles. In other words, the difference between a calf that has not been treated and a calf that's been treated more than one time goes on upwards to over $200. In other words, that calf that's been treated more than twice has a $200 cost associated with it because he became ill. And that's due to decreased performance, decreased feed efficiency, and decreased quality grade. In other words, decreases the percentage of carcasses grading choice.
I think we help our cattle producer by telling them, bring the best possible calf you can to market that day. Don't take shortcuts or anything. Just make your calves the most marketable calf you can on the day you sell. I guess to make them the most marketable calf they can, I always stress uniformity and also preconditioning them, having a good health program in their calves. Preconditioning is important just from a marketing standpoint, that I think it tells the cattle buyer and the feedlot that the producer has done his utmost to provide the best calf to the feedlot. It's a reflection on the producer saying, I run a top-notch operation and I want to bring the best I have the day I sell my cattle. And preconditioning is part of doing the best that you can do as a cattle producer. preconditioning is important for everyone in the beef industry because we have to work together from beginning to end. The cow-calf man has to produce the best product he can the same way that the man feeding him at the other end has to produce the best product he can, and you're just delivering a healthy animal throughout the whole chain, and you're giving a healthier product, a better product to the consumer. I could say as a sale barn owner here, well, once the calves are sold, I don't care, or I don't care what kind of cattle the people bring me because I get a commission whether they're a good calf or a bad calf. But really, I have a role in the cattle industry to tell the producer this is what the industry wants, and the producer has the role after that saying I have to produce a calf that the industry wants. You can't just say I'm a beef producer but I'm not part of the whole industry. The beginning and the end and the middle, everything has to work together so that we have something good and uniform and great at the end that the consumer wants. I think a rancher needs to precondition his calves just from the economic standpoint of it all. For a minimal investment, you get a good return on your investment. People shouldn't look at preconditioning as an expense. It is an investment. For $4 to $6 a head, you can precondition your calves. That in return, when you bring them to the sale barn, can probably return you $30 to $50 a head. It's easy math. It's easy money. I mean, if you could get something like that in the stock market, you take it in an instant. Invest $6, get $50 back, no problem.
Purina's wind and rain minerals are research tested and field proven to provide balanced mineral nutrition essential for cattle health, growth, and reproduction. They're highly palatable so cattle consume what they need when they need it. And wind and rain minerals special formulation resists the elements so they won't blow out of the feeder and maintain their palatability even if they've been wet. Wind and rain cattle minerals from Purina Mills, building better cattle.
Welcome back to Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Calf health is a major component of your operations efficiency. That's why having a strategy to protect against and treat scours is especially important. Let's head to Stillwater, Minnesota and Dr. John Rogers.
Steve, it sure looks like the grass is making a nice comeback from the recent rains we've had.
Yes, we were very fortunate that we were probably about a week away when we received the rain and of having to feed hay to these cattle. And as you know, the profitability is not there for the beef industry to feed hay in the summertime. So we're very happy.
That's good. We're here with Steve Grogan of Kelly Land and Cattle Company. Steve, tell us a little bit about your operation here.
Well, we're located about 30 miles northeast of the Twin Cities. We have about 3,000 acres on the place, and we change our operations a little bit each year, but this year we ran about 600 head of cow-calves.
That's great. We're here to talk a little bit about scours and scours management. Can you tell us a little bit about how you proceed with your scours prevention programs?
Well, this year we used the product and we gave them the 2 shots, and it worked very well. On the 600 head of cow-calves, we had no scour, so it couldn't have worked any better than that.
That's great.
Can you, for some of the other breeders, give us a little information on why we should be using these scour products?
Sure. Management for scours issue can be very complex and a very complex issue to manage from year to year. Scours can cause a lot of different syndromes. Of course, scours can cause diarrhea. That diarrhea can lead to dehydration. It can lead to hypoglycemia, and it also can lead to death. So there's a lot of serious issues related to the management of scours.
So how prevalent is scours in the industry?
Scours can be a very significant issue when it comes to cow-calf production. We see scours as probably one of the leading causes of production losses, both from the production standpoint and an economic standpoint. Calves experience scours early in life can reduce their gain, and weaning weights can be as much as 35 pounds lighter due to the scours. So it can be a very significant problem when it comes to both production and economics.
So in your opinion, we as cattlemen, what do you feel that we can do to manage this problem?
Steve, when we look at the management issues related to calf scours, we can kind of take a look at two approaches. One, the organisms that cause calf scours, we'd like to not have them cause any issues as far as exposure to the calf. So we can look at issues related to keeping the calf away from those organisms that cause the scours. And secondly, if that calf is exposed to those organisms, we'd like to have protection in that calf that comes through the colostrum of the cow. We'd like to have that calf protected from those organisms if they are exposed to those organisms.
John, in our operation, we've always vaccinated pre-calving. Is this the best method for an operation to use?
Steve, when we look at that calf being able to fight off scours, we look at that calf receiving some good antibodies against those scour organisms that calf actually receives through the colostrum from the cow. So we need to use a good solid vaccination program in our cow herds in order to provide those calves with good solid immunity from colostrum. We know that cows start to concentrate colostrum probably 5 weeks and continues till 2 weeks pre-calving. So our vaccination programs then need to be timed with that production of colostrum, and we need to follow labeled directions on scours vaccinations very closely in order to maximize our scour protection in those calves.
When we come back, we'll learn how the effective management of scours can have a positive impact on your operation.
Out here, you do a job right, then you move on. And when the job is fast treatment of shipping fever, Baytril 100 is how you do it. It's designed specifically for first-line treatment of bovine respiratory disease, for use by or on the order of a licensed veterinarian. Extra label use in food-producing animals is prohibited. Ask your veterinarian for more information. When the job is killing BRD fast, choose Baytril 100. Right the first time.
2 100% pure USDA inspected patties are only the beginning of what make the Big Mac famous, and that's what we're made of.
Welcome back. Let's head back to Minnesota and Dr. Rogers for more on effective scours management.
John, I've noticed in our herd that when they get scours, can it affect them for their whole life, and how does that affect us economically?
Steve, that's very true. I think it's easy to see the calves' reduction in their average daily gain when they're on the cow, but we've also, a lot of studies have shown that not only do they have reduced weaning weights, but if you take these calves in through the feedlot phase, they've also got poorer carcass quality, and they don't have the average daily gain potential that they would have had if they had not had the scours early in life. So I think some of the new data will tell us that it will affect them throughout their entire life.
So John, if I had some cows that I wasn't able to get vaccinated and I was concerned about the scours, what would your program be to attack that?
Steve, from a cattleman's perspective, we need to look at ways to prevent that calf from being exposed to the organisms that cause calf scours. Those management techniques would be things like isolating calves that do get scours away from calves that aren't experiencing scours, so we don't pass it from those that do have scours onto those calves that are healthy. So we want to look at those kind of situations, keeping that cow healthy, keeping things from a management perspective related to animal husbandry techniques prior to calving, clean, dry calving areas, moving out those calves when they get a little bit older so we can calve in areas where things are clean and dry. So those are some of the things we could take a look at to provide opportunities to prevent scours in those calves. If you would spend money and time on scours prevention programs, do you see that being beneficial?
I think it's very beneficial in our program. As I said earlier, in this past year, we vaccinated all our cows and we had no scours. And we do practice the things that you mentioned. In past years, before vaccines were as adept as they are now, or before they even came out, we did have scour problems, and it's not only does it affect you immediately with the cost of the treatment of the calf, as you mentioned, on down the road, a lot of these calves were smaller, and in some cases they never recovered. They were a calf that was lighter throughout their life, and on the feedlot end of it, the feedlot people hate those kind of calves because they're more prone to sicknesses throughout their life, and they don't gain as well. They don't get sold with the rest of the group in the lot, and so it's a problem all the way down the line.
So Steve, basically when we look at the economic implications of a good solid scours prevention program, we need to look at good solid vaccination programs so that calf has good immunity against scours, and also management techniques to prevent that calf from being exposed to those scours organisms. So overall you would see this as a very positive economic impact on overall herd performance.
Oh, definitely. It like I said, it's a major part of our program, and I can recommend it to anyone that because you're ahead of the game instead of behind the game. You're preventing instead of treating.
So prevention is the key.
Definitely.
For more information on scours prevention and treatment, head to cattlemen.org. We'll be right back.
You know there's more to raising cattle than adding pounds and a strong bottom line. It includes a commitment to deliver quality beef, lean, flavorful, safe, and wholesome. That's why Fort Dodge Animal Health brings you the Synovex family of growth implants. Proven tools for higher performance. Quality, wholesomeness, performance, profit. Fort Dodge Animal Health knows they're important to you, so they're important to us. For more information on Synovex implants, visit us online.
Welcome back. Ranchers have been known to say, I would rather leave the house with one boot on than be without my red book. Well, if you haven't seen one, a red book is a pocket-sized cow-calf record keeper, calendar, and address book, all in one. In 2007, more than 85,000 red books were distributed to cattlemen across the country. Geiger, a family-owned business in the state of Maine, has been NCBA's printing partner for nearly 20 years. Besides the IRM Red Books, Geiger also publishes the annual Farmer's Almanac. Last spring, we had a chance to tour the Geiger factory in Lewiston, Maine, and see how the Red Books are produced.
I've had several positions at Geiger. I've managed at one point or another the entire bindery. Right now, I'm sample coordinator as well as technical advisor for the company. I've manufactured National IRM for a good many years. The bindery we're a diary manufacturer, and we do offset printing. And all our diaries, or the majority of them, are all section sewn, which is the best diary you can get as far as a lay flat for a writing instrument. So we feel we're on the high end of the diary manufacturing process. We in-house have very sophisticated equipment, pretty much state-of-the-art. Some of the equipment we have is actually some equipment that we had made in our prototypes of first-in-the-world equipment. We run a variety of different types of cover materials and different types of foil stamping. We feel pretty confident that we can almost manufacture almost every type of diary a customer would ever want. For a cattleman, it's kind of nice because it's weather resistant to a certain extent. It'll repel water. This particular cover material, we feel this is a good one for a cattleman to have carrying around with it.
The 2008 Red Books look just like this and are available now. You can go to cattlemen.org for more information on how to get your very own Red Book. We'll be right back.
Our quarter pounder with cheese is made from 100% pure USDA beef. That means there's 0% anything else. That's what we're made of.
Rush to Reno. The 2008 Cattle Industry Annual Convention and Trade Show. For fun, for education, for new ideas. For more information, visit beefusa.org.
Thanks for joining us for this special edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Don't forget to check us out on the web at cattlementocattlemen.org. We'll be back with another edition next week at 8:30 Eastern Time right here on RFD TV.